I see you having to sign off already. Castile Wayward, have a pleasant night. Thank you for joining, even momentarily. This is Live on Lockdown, episode 36, and this opening track is Zora's Moon by Candace Hoyes, who I went to college with, who's a great musician. Please be sure to follow Candace here. Find her new track and all her music, wherever music can be found on the internet. I'm not going to bias you toward any particular outlet because I don't know which one is better for her and nobody's paying me to promote their stuff. Good to see some familiar names and some new ones. It is Thursday, the something of August, 13th, 12th. I'm just impressed that I know it's a Thursday. It is Thursday, the 13th of August. I nailed it. I'm crushing it in the Corona times. To know the day of the week and the date without having to look at a screen to confirm it, yo, that means you're doing something right. That means you're basically succeeding in this strange time. I'm Baratunde Thurston. We do this show every Thursday night here on IG Live, except when I don't feel like it, which is rare, but sometimes I've earned that break. The way the show works, I have some things I want to share. I respond heavily to your prompts. So hit that question mark at the bottom. Give me something to riff on. Maybe something that makes me a little animated, a little upset, a little fired up, or, occasionally happy. Occasionally, there's still happiness is out there. And sometimes I share that too. I think we're going to have a nice moment in tonight's show. And, many of you know that we have been tracking on the love life of one of our Live on Lockdown community members, Dan Zoller. I think Dan's going to drop by and give us an update. I am hoping, because we need this right now. So stay tuned for that, and fingers crossed that he is able to show up and tell us about his Palm Springs lovey-dovey relationship situation. His road trips. So he teased me in the DM, so I'm hoping he follows through right now. Meantime, here's what I always love to do. I like to see who's in the room. I like to show some acknowledgement, and I'm always looking for my favorite username of the night. So Rachel Goldstein 3, first of all, I see you. Hello. It has been years. Thank you for being here with us this evening. The Black Scholar. I don't know that I've seen your name before. I'm digging that name though. That's very good. Let's see. The Black Scholar. I like that one. All right. Who else is in here? Oh, I'm also feeling Cassandra with the double S, the double N, and the double A. Yo, you're just doubling up. Double up. Double up, double up, double up. I hope that's your theme song. You should just double up all the time. So that's very exciting to see you here. I still think the Black Scholars got it, but like a runner-up is Cassandra. That's really great. Jong is Wald. Thank you for loving Candace's music. Again, that's at Candace Hoyes here on the gram. Check her out. Jen Nichols in the house. It's not even a show without Jen Nichols. So good to see you. I'm going to press that wave button for you. Thank you. I see you, Chewy McDonough, my former colleague at The Onion, spanning space and time. Hello. Vicky Velcro. That's a fun name. That's great. Thank you, East Coast, for staying up late with me, 10 p.m. But people on the East Coast don't sleep. That's what I remember from living there. Y'all getting soft on me during the Rona. East Coast, don't do that. Don't do that. We always clown the West Coast for being the soft ones. You got to stay strong for our dubious reputation as people who don't value self-care. Let's rock it hard, East Coast. Stay up late for my IG to prove that the East is the beast. All right. So let's see. Oh, good. Before vegan was cool. Good to have you back. Yes. Okay, there's so many. I can't even keep up with all this. Smokler is here. Happy birthday to you, Kevin Smokler. I missed your birthday Zoom. I am so sorry for that, but I got the message and it's on my mind. You've been on my mind, so it's really nice to see your name here. All right. And that's going to have to be almost the end of the shout outs. To see you, Nat Townsend. Nat showed up on the live, on the How to Citizen with Baratunde, my new show. Ask very long-winded question. You gave my editors a nightmare. Thank you for that, Matt. But that episode will be coming soon to your feed because we're dropping the trailer for How to Citizen with Baratunde next week. So just constantly refresh all your podcast apps, like all of them. I'm talking Sidecast or whatever, Overcast, Undercast, Spotify, Notify, Plotify, Dropify, iHeart, I Spleen, you know what I'm saying? iCalf, iBrain, iLung, like just all of them. Hit up all those apps. And which you can listen to if you haven't yet is my show, We're Having a Moment, aka Wham. We have wrapped that. So it's like ready for you. If you're not one of those people that likes to, like, you don't want to start something until you know how it ends, 6 episodes, it ends. So now you can get into the whole thing. So with that, I'm going to declare the Black Scholar as my username of the night with the runner-up for Cassandra. And let's get into these topics. So here's what I want to talk about. Somebody already asked me, and let me see if I can pull it up because I'd like to acknowledge who is asking these questions. From B Star Dog, update on your backyard critters. That's right. I'm starting with the most important update. We're not talking about the Veep stakes. We're not talking about the crushing of our democracy through the strangling of the Postal Service. No. We're going to start off talking about these raccoons. We're going to talk about these raccoons and these possum and these squirrels and these birds. So basically, there's not much of an update. I'm like a timeshare resident of this plot of land, and the animals run it. And I just feel so grateful that they have allowed me and my fiance to rest relatively peacefully on this here land. You know, it's cool. Like, I've got the landlord that we write a check to, and then I got these like lot lords who I got to live with. You know what I'm saying? They clearly, like, I had it so backwards. In the beginning, I was naive. I thought, how do I dominate this land? I had a colonial attitude toward my backyard. It was straight up Columbusing, you know? And I was like, I'm gonna set up these cameras. I'm gonna put up these shiny streamers, like these scare squirrel streamers, like a scarecrow thing, but for squirrels. I'm gonna do this, and I know poison and nothing super inhumane, but just a very dominant kind of European stumbling onto the wrong continent kind of vibe that I showed up here with. And that was silly, and that was stupid. And it turns out, like, we can all live here together. You know what I'm saying? Like, they get some of the fruit, I get some of the fruit. And you know, and I'm just grateful for that. So the current situation is, you know, possum is doing what the possum gonna do. And the skunks, you know, they got their little skunk life, hashtag skunk life. You know, they rocking it pretty hard. And they travel in pairs and they frolic and they play and they sometimes stink up the place, but not too hard. I haven't been sprayed, so I'm cool with the skunks. I saw 3 raccoons in one shot recently. Like, they was marching for something. Like, I don't know if there was like a raccoon injustice. They was doing some Raccoon Lives Matter. Like, I'm not really tapped into the whole raccoon world, but I was just like, yo, you got this, because you're basically like a little human with a bandit mask on. Like, I'm not trying to mess with the raccoons. You know, this is their life. But the new critters to show up are the winged variety. And I live here in Highland Park in Los Angeles, and we got some weird birds. I feel like I live in like an aviary out here. I'm a city person, and technically I live in a city, but I really feel like I live in Jurassic Park in this neighborhood. This is not any kind of city life I'm used to. We got crazy tropical birds. They make freaky sounds. We got parrots. Somebody brought like 2 parrots 50 years ago, and those parrots just, apparently all they did was have sex. You know, like, they were just horny all the time. So now we live with their progeny, you know what I'm saying? Sex. There's no parrot condoms. They don't have a pill for parrots. There's no diaphragm for parrots. So these parrots, they have sex and then they make more parrots. Like, they're not doing family planning or anything. So there's mad weird birds in this neighborhood that, like, I'm like living in The Birds, the creepy movie, but with tropical birds. And then a little homie shows up the other day. I didn't expect this at all. We got a little woodpecker. Got a little woodpecker. I saw him through the window. And then the other day, I thought my neighbor was doing some like weird contracting work, construction. And I was like, hello, like, you good? Like, what's up? And I'm talking to a bird. You think you're talking to a human being and it turns out it's an animal? So that's my life right now. I'm just talking to animals, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just that kind of, professor, just like whispering to these creatures on accident. So that's my critter update. Thank you so much for asking. And now we can get into some of the other things going on. I see some of y'all have got owls. That'd be pretty cool because owls, I think, mess with snakes. You know what I'm saying? They eat snakes. I learned that from a great documentary called The Biggest Little Farm, which I highly recommend. I watched that documentary on a plane. Remember planes? Like buses with wings? Haven't been on one of those since March 11th, a day that will live in infamy, my potentially last flight of 2020. So check that joint out. And yeah, let's keep it moving. I appreciate that question. So that's the Backyard Critters. If y'all are into podcasts and have already consumed We're Having a Moment and can't wait for How to Citizen, yesterday I taped some time on Fake the Nation with Nagin Farsad. I always have fun with Nagin. We go way back to New York City comedy days. And I was on with Katie Lazarus, who runs a really dope show called Employee of the Month. So check out Face the Nation. We got a little feisty. In there. We talked about Kamala. There wasn't much feistiness there. We kind of were aligned on perspective. I'll share my perspective in a minute if you haven't seen it. But we got feisty about like life in cities and New York City versus the world. And like I was one of those people that lived in New York City for 12 years. And I convinced myself that all the pain and trauma and financial bloodletting made me a stronger, better person than other people anywhere on the planet Earth. And that's just, I inherited that arrogance as a precondition for mental survival in an untenable situation. And so the spell has been broken. I don't live there anymore. I still love New York. I still serve the Brooklyn Public Library on the board. And, I Zoom with New Yorkers, right? Like no discrimination. But I recognize that there is also life outside of New York City. And so we kind of got into it on the show because I was on the show with two New Yorkers and there were some words were said that I interpreted as besmirching on those who choose to not live in New York and maybe even leave it. And especially in the age of pandemic, I know a lot of people who have left because they are trapped in their homes with their children, and those homes were not meant for that kind of life. Like basically my take on New York City life is like everybody's just in a timeshare situation with their cohabitants, but you have an implicit deal that you're not going to be there at the same time, whether it's a roommate or a lover or a child, even a pet. You know what I'm saying? Like you just have this deal, like you're going to go to work, you're going to go to school, you're going to leave at some point. And now everybody's just trapped in this little room. And that's not a part of the deal. That's not a part of the lease. And so I understand, especially parents in that environment who are like, yo, let's check out this upstate. Maybe I'm going to build a lean-to. Maybe I'm going to dust off my Boy Scout, Girl Scout skills and just try this living with mosquitoes life. It just sounds a little bit better than being trampled by rugrats all day, every day, and fighting over one toilet. So I just felt the need to defend the honor of those who have decided that life is possible in a multitude of other places on Earth, not within the tiny range of latitude and longitude that define New York City. Even as I always deeply love and will defend New York City too. Don't you ever, I can talk about New York that way because I did my time. Ooh, look at my hair. Look at my hair. If you've never lived there, you shut your face. You don't know. You don't know. All right. So check out Fake the Nation, the latest episode. It dropped today. Let me see what y'all. Robin Slay one says, I punked out after a year and a half. I appreciate your realness. It's not for everybody. Garrett Oliver says, beyond the NYC border, there be dragons. That's true. That's true. Khaleesi is real. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and I'm also just keeping an eye out to see if Daniel's gonna join us. I'm just like trying to keep a lookout because I really want this update on the love life. So cool, cool, cool. All right, let's see what else I got in my little bucket. Okay, let's talk Kamala Harris. Let's talk Kamala, 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 Kamala. Listen, if you want the full thing, I wrote something. I wrote it for my email list, but I shared it on my grid. It's the most recent post on my grid. And I got the Twitter alert. I didn't get the text from Joe Biden. I was honestly a little annoyed. I gave him like $20 to cut into the front of the line. I'm like, yeah, I'll pay for information. It's like, priority delivery. I'll pay for the express info service. So here's $20. You're in my pocket now, Biden. I own you. I'm your Sheldon Adelstein. I'm your Koch brother. So I gave Biden like $20 and my mobile number. And I was like, yo, hit me when you make your choice. I was vying for like a Karen Bass type situation. And I didn't even get a text from this dude. I was like, did I go into your spam? Like, did you not pay your bill? Because I gave you $20. So you should have been able to text me. But instead, I had a backup. So I have mobile alerts on all the Biden tweets, which I implemented months ago because I was like, I'm not hearing from Joe Biden. Is he just like hiding in his basement? See, look at me absorbing the narrative of the misinformation person in chief. And now Biden's been out here in these Twitter streets. So I just like, look, I'm not going to trust this algorithm. I'm doing a hard subscribe. Every time Joe Biden tweets, I get an alert on my wrist, on my phone, on my tablet. Like, I don't want to miss it. And so I learned about his selection through Twitter, through that place that undermines our democracy so often. And I had this moment where it's like, oh yeah, of course. Like, I don't know, like, raise your hands, hit me with the praise emoji if that was your initial response to the selection of Kamala Harris as the VP choice. Look, I voted for Bernie. Like, I wear my badge of leftiness on my left shoulder. And so I was feeling something in a way that I thought would be a little more bold, a little more daring. And I was like, she was a prosecutor, and who signs up to put people in jail, in this age of blah, 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 blah. And she's cozied up to the big money. And I read these blogs, I read these IG posts. I'm on the YouTube. I get it. I'm informed. But I had that thought for like 3 minutes and 13 seconds. And I realized I just don't care. I just, like, the realest of the real, I don't care who he picks. I don't care. Like, it doesn't, like, how much do I care? None. I don't care at all. And there's a part of me, a little caged part of me in a parallel universe where I'm like, but what about her past policy? I don't give a what? Are you kidding me? He's running against Voldemort. Like, I don't care if your magic isn't pure. Your spells are better. Let's rock this, So, and I recognize, no one's perfect. I'm not in this camp of like, if you're not perfect, I can't rock with you. Otherwise, I wouldn't rock with myself. Like, I would not vote for me. I wouldn't face myself in the mirror every day if I'm going to hold a bar of perfection. And Kamala Harris is a beast, yo. Like, who serves at every level of government? All the levels. She's like, oh, I rock that city level. I rock that statewide. Oh, you want like a federal government situation? I got you. What? And I was like, all right. So you're already more qualified than the bozo who like stumbled into this office, who I feel like the current occupant of the White House knows less about government now than when he assumed control of one of its branches. Like, how is that even? How do you get worse at it with more experience? So Kamala, and I'm always going to try to say it 3 times. I feel like I'm casting a spell. She is hella qualified. So that's already a plus. She's had to, I can't imagine the stuff she's had to deal with as a woman, as a brown person, as someone who's not 80 years old. Like, yeah, she's had to compromise like hell, of course. So she's relatively intact. I'll take that. And good for her for still being alive, for still remembering how to say her own name. And I appreciate some of the work she's done. And especially that housing stuff that she worked on. I say it like I don't know what I'm talking about. That housing stuff. Her ability to reject a BS offer from the people who are responsible for collapsing our economy and reducing the wealth of Black people by a significant margin in one fell swoop, she held out for the people of California. That's worth something, So I recognize that history matters. And, she made Brett Kavanaugh cry. Done. Like, Kamala Harris made Brett Kavanaugh cry in front of everybody. He turned into a whiny, little, temper tantrumy biatch under her questioning. She's got superpowers. I want them on my team. You know what I'm saying? I want the powers that she used to lock up Black people. I'm so wrong. But I want them on my team now. And I want whatever she did to make Brett Kavanaugh cry, do it to Mike Pence. That's make Pence cry. Make Pence cry. Like hashtag make Pence. I will pay another $20 to make I'll pay, you know what? I'll boost that 25%. I'll pay $25. Now I'm your Koch brother and your Edelstein combined. You don't even need those billionaires, Kamala, because you'll have my $25. Make Pence cry. Do it. Oh, I cannot wait. How much can we not wait? How much can we not wait for Kamala to come for Mike Pence? He might cry the moment he takes the stage because he'll be in the presence of his non-wife, non-mother, like his non-mother wife. Has he ever even been around a non-mother wife in isolation? Like, is that allowed by his twisted version of religion? We'll find out. Or maybe he'll just be the little man crying in the corner, begging for his mother wife. I want to see this so bad. I want to see Mike Pence beg for his mother wife on national streaming Zoom, which is where we all live now. And I assume where I'm going to watch this debate. That brings me such I feel at peace in a way that I didn't when the stream started. I feel like I'm making peace with the animals in my backyard and I'm making peace with the animals in the White House because Kamala might make one of them cry. So I'm good with that. That's just very exciting to me. And this whole purity thing. And look, here's my other thing, and I haven't said this anywhere yet. I encounter this idea on the internet, especially, of people who are like, we said defund the police, and then you put a cop on a ticket. And I suspect that a percentage of that sentiment is real. But I have a deeper suspicion that a majority of that sentiment is not, in the sense of, I think it's a good story. I think it's a hooky line to drop. But my gut tells me there is not a significant percentage of the electorate who is all twisted in knots about Kamala Harris being Joe Biden's VP because of her past positions in criminal, legal America system nonsense. I just think it's very easy to be loud on the internet. And I certainly want it to be true that the volume does not represent the market share of the constituency that actually believes that. and certainly doesn't represent a significant share of people in the 5 states that actually matter, because this is not a national election when it comes to who's going to cast a vote for whom. So I would also encourage you, you see like a black avatar online saying, well, they picked Kamala, so I'm voting for Trump. That's a bullshit ass opinion. And it represents probably no one who matters in an electoral sense. And let us not waste our energy on feeling all torn up and trying to convince somebody like that, because that body might not even be real. And if they are, they're probably not in a swing state or district. And if they are, there's way more people who are going to outvote them because it's so obvious. There was this hypothetical 4 years ago. Well, hypothetically speaking, Hillary Clinton was like this terrible, monstrous person. And hypothetically speaking, Donald Trump was a savvy business person who's going to bring business to the White House and shake it up and drain the swamp. And it was hypothetical because he had never served in public office. And so we didn't know. And you could choose to believe all the meandering nonsense about Hillary. And there were things to believe about her that were not entirely positive. She did co-sign on a lot of nonsense. She did do all these talks and refuse to share the transcript. She did not murder anybody, though. And so you have this like monstrous image of a person who exhibited a lot of traits that men in the same position have exhibited, but were never besmirched to such a degree that she was, but you were allowed to ignore that because misogyny. And so you ingest that and digest that. And then you like put on a pedestal this serial pedophilic, sexual assaulting, tax evading thiever from the National Treasury, inheritor of racist nonsense. But you say, oh, but he had a reality TV show, so he could probably run a country. I don't know. Let's see what happens. What's the worst thing that could happen? What's he going to do? Like tank the economy and try to murder all of us? Right. So you could imagine, hypothetically speaking, that Donald Trump might do a better job than Hillary Clinton. You could throw yourself into a weird world where that could happen. Well, we're in the world. And Hillary Clinton's not on the ballot. No one named Clinton is. And the current president is that dude that a lot of us told you he would be, but you're like, well, let's just see. I don't know. Maybe the science isn't in yet. Maybe these facts aren't factual. And maybe, you know what? Maybe he'll become presidential. Maybe the weight and the burden and the honor of the office will somehow strike a consciousness he's never exhibited before through multiple marriages and multiple children and multiple business dealings and multiple opportunities to present himself as a moral being. But maybe this one time he'll behave differently. And so, we gave the infinite second chancer in America, the upfailing white man, we gave him another chance and said, roll the dice on a nation. I'll put my money on the over-tanned menace. And here we are. So it's not hypothetical. But I still can imagine and empathize in part with a person who 4 years ago may have thought, what's the worst thing that could happen? So now that we're living inside of the worst thing that did happen, bringing up Kamala Harris's uneven, imperfect record, as every elected official has, every single one, and juxtaposing it with the actual practical record of a monstrous, murderous, mayhemic madman, it doesn't work. It doesn't. It's not hypothetical. So anyone who's expressing the idea that, well, I'm just going to vote for the current president, keep him in office because Kamala was a cop, can respectfully go fuck themselves. How about that? They don't count because that's a nonsense ass opinion. And someone who insists on holding it is not worth the energy. Let us instead rally people to vote who agree with us, maybe felt checked out, and remind our neighbors of the stakes. The current president of the United States is trying to kill as many of us as possible. Is the child smashing the toys because the parent said you got to share that toy with your friends? Your time is up. Put the toy back in the box. And instead of putting the toy back in the box, this president's just like, smash, smash. If I can't play with it, nobody can play with it. Come on now. This is so obvious. It's so obvious. So don't waste your heart and your energy and your ethics on trying to defend Kamala Harris's record against a monstrous, murderous, mayhemic madman. How you like that alliteration? This is stupid. It's a stupid exercise. So I just did it so you don't have to, and we can continue to move forward as people. She's gonna be fine. She's gonna be better than fine. She's more committed to us than he's ever been. Done. She's more qualified to be the president than he's ever been. Done. It's so silly. It's silly. It's a bad faith argument by people who cannot see the forest for the trees. Probably can't see the forest because they let it burn down due to climate change. POTUS is on that birther nonsense again with Kamala. This dude is so incredibly pathetic. It's so sad. He's got the entire federal government apparatus. He's got opposition research at his disposal. He's got the Secret Service. He's got Bill Barr and the whole Justice Department and all the DHS and all that. He's got everybody. And the best thing he can do to try to run against these real Americans is, let me dust off that birther thing. Are you serious? You're going to go with the birth certificate thing again? Really? It's sad. He's a sad, broken, lonely, soulless, hurt person. And the most compassionate thing we can do is remove him from this burdensome position and put duct tape around his face so he can never utter another word again. Also around his fingers. And cancel a cell phone plan. It's so freaking pathetic. I can't wait. I don't care how he gets out, but he's got to go. And let's talk about the Postal Service. So today, in an increasingly brazen move where Republicans just say the quiet part out loud, the President of the United States is like, yeah, I don't want people voting. We're not going to provide emergency stimulus to the Postal Service. We're going to keep this mail slow because more people will vote and more Democrats will vote. And so, as is my want, I will repeat my desire to hear from Republican Americans. It's a new hyphenated class of human to emphasize the American part of their identity. And drag this fool out of office before and condemn him from the highest orders. There's a few who've issued some tweets. We got the tweets of condemnation. We've got the hand wringing. We've got this is troubling. It troubles me. And I have said this before, but it bears repeating. If you slow down the Postal Service, you slow down delivery of stimulus checks. You slow down delivery of prescription medication to your over-medicated voting base. You slow down delivery of government assistance to your overly government-dependent constituency. And you undermine your job, which is to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And to defend the people within these borders. So here we go again with the nonsense and the BS. And I wish I knew something to tell you to do in the immediate term to bolster the Postal Service. I'm like, should you buy more stamps? Should you do everything express? And even if they don't deliver it, don't cash in on the guaranteed refund. If you live in an area with a Republican American representative, please contact them a lot and remind them that they work for you. I don't know if they'll listen. I don't think most of them care. And so I think, and this is more like speculative prediction than actual call to action, but I think these folks are real desperate and they're very transparent. And when someone is this transparent in their desperation, they're dangerous. And they're telegraphing all the things that they're willing to do because they're actually doing them. This is, again, not hypothetical. So we're likely to face a situation around our election day, which will become an election week or an election month. And they will pull out the W. Bush playbook from 2000, and they will have people monitoring the election. And they've already said they're going to file lawsuits as many places as possible to challenge ballots that don't have the right stamp, but don't have this and that. So one, my action and request for all of us is to prepare for a slog. We have gotten so used to on-demand everything, instant gratification. I press a Postmates button and food appears. It's almost like living in the Jetsons. It's not quite the Star Trek replicator, but it's pretty damn close. And our electoral system within this democracy will not work that way. So let us breathe deeply and be patient with these results and work on our sourdough and commune with our backyard critters and prepare to take to the streets with our masks and occupy every public space possible to drag this mofo out and his co-conspirators. So that's one on the back end. Let's just be prepared. But on the front end, let's just not get there. Let us, where we can, vote early. Let us vote where we think our votes don't count. And let us vote down that whole ballot. I want to wake up to a moment where, despite the fact that so many returns are not in, they can't help but call it. They're like, yo, it's a blue tsunami. Every Republican on the ballot has lost. And the message is clear. We do not co-sign on this authoritarian nonsense. If you stood with him, you stood against all of us. If you stood with him, you stood against the Constitution. If you stood with him, you stood against the founding principles of this supposed land of the free. And we are now trying to restore that spirit. So you got to go. And yes, we will count all the votes, but it's so clear that we don't need to wait to call it. Mitch McConnell, you lost your job. Trump Pence, you lost your jobs. Bill Barr, you got to go. Tom Cotton, you are not in the majority. Maybe you lost your job too. All of them. We need to do that. So this is what I want. This is what I want to see. I don't know if this is going to happen. I will not predict this. But I will dream about it. And I will say it out loud in forums like this with people like you, so that you will say it to someone else and try to make it come true. That's the best way out of this, is an irrefutable, overwhelming, embarrassing victory beyond the defense. I want Fox News to be speechless the morning after election. Mayor Pete did this thing during his campaign where he's like, imagine the morning after, how good it's going to feel. Imagine turning on Fox News and they have nothing to say. Let's make that shit happen. So that's what I want to see there. Thank you. Okay. And yeah, there's, be a poll worker if you can. I posted something in my story for those who live in the great Republic of California to be able to do that. But wherever you are, I'm sure poll working volunteers are needed, especially if you are young and have no existing conditions. This is your time. This is your service. So let's get it. This is your front line. Because without this, everything else is so much harder. And I really don't want to move to Germany or Spain or start collecting dirt and building my own island in international waters off the Pacific West Coast. I don't want to have to do that. But I will talk to these here raccoons and these squirrels and we will create a new nation, a non-colonial, non-exploitative, regenerative, circular, holistic nation where we don't continue to double down and empower a monstrous, mayhemic, murderous madman. Okay, that's been an incredible run. I have not checked the comments queue or the bucket at all. So let me check my messages and see if Daniel is going to try to come. And if not, let me just look and see what you have been asking about. Okay. Amy B. Wilson says, how do I talk to my stepmom who doesn't trust women leaders because they are too emotional? This is a powerful question. Thank you for asking it. Everyone is capable of complicity in white supremacy. Everyone is capable of complicity in misogyny. That includes Black people. That includes women. And so this is a misogynistic sentiment from a woman. And that's Stockholm syndrome. That is, we all breathe the air of this. And so we can only exhale it as well as natural. It's not to be judged harshly. It makes sense that a woman, especially an older woman, would feel this way because she's been conditioned to hate herself, as Black people have been conditioned to hate ourselves. What else could she have learned in a society that deemed her only good for breeding and cooking? Simplified, but that's been the basic message. How do I talk to her? Please have added in the comments if you found effective ways. But I would just show her a video of Brett Kavanaugh crying and screaming like a little whiny biatch in public during his confirmation hearing. Pretty emotional. Pretty emotional. Maybe you could print out the tweets from the current penis-wielding president with the exclamation points and the all caps and the misspellings and say, does this look emotional to you? And see if she's able to judge emotionality from a man as well. And don't do it harshly. I mean, I would say, like, you don't need to hit her over the head. Don't like print out 1,000 tweets and like drop it on the table and be like, what's about this step mama? Like, she's family. You're going to have to live with this person. So I say, try to move gently and don't make strong worded statements, but just ask her what she sees. And ask her what she means by emotional. Ask for specific examples of this level of emotion. And then if you're going to try to present counter information, do it in a did you know kind of way. What do you think of? What do you think about the Prime Minister of New Zealand and how she's performed? And show her the video of the New Zealand Prime Minister during an earthquake, continuing with her press conference. And show her the statistics of how that nation has largely suppressed this. And then just say, like, what do you think about this female leader? You know, and sort of point her to counter examples and just ask her what she thinks. Don't tell her what to think. No one likes to be told what to think. You don't like to be told what to think. So I think for all of us, where we're in the situation where we have the beautiful gift of an opportunity to engage with someone different from us. And a lot of us don't have that opportunity. We're in our own bubbles and it's kind of exciting and also boring. But you're in like a blessed position. It's also toxic and exhausting, I'm sure. Think about what you wouldn't want someone to say to you. Think about how she approaches you and what you don't like about it. And recognize that you're both human and you probably don't like on an elemental basis that same thing. And so give her the gift of the approach she doesn't give you and let's see what happens. But I see a lot of things in the comments. Ali Jack says, ask about places in her own life where she has been put down. Sassy Stumpf says, come at it with love. No one listens to someone yelling at them. They only get defensive. Before Vegan Was Cool says, ask her who she views as a strong woman. Vicky Velcro also challenged what the word emotional is being used for. Oftentimes it's coded, and I really appreciate that. Like, ask her to define it, because that's a broad label. It's like saying cancel culture. It doesn't mean anything anymore. So ask her what she means by that. And then I learned this from Eric Liu, who is a forthcoming guest on How to Citizen with Baratunde. He created Citizen University, and he suggests we ask questions of people who are kind of opponents like this. Ask her what she's afraid of. Uh, what are you afraid of if you lose? What are you afraid of losing? And give her the opportunity to articulate that, and then you can counter those points. There's a surface level thing she's saying here, but there's something deeper here that she's really worried about. So she doesn't trust women leaders because they're emotional. What is she worried will happen if a woman is put in a leadership position? And let her say it. Give her the space to say it. And she'll probably say something maybe a bit more personal, or maybe a bit more clarifyingly bullshitish that you will have an opportunity to engage with. That's a really great question. Thank you so much, Amy. Let's. Okay. Let's. There's a lot on this theme of hating women. JP Jonesy was asking, Kamala's under attack. Why does our country hate women? Because of history. Let's see here. Okay. Before Vegan was cool, ask, have you discovered anything new lately? I'm looking for new messages. This dude. Okay. Have you discovered a new hobby, new food, new anything fun? Yes. In the land of streaming media. First of all, still not Quibiing. Still not doing Quibi. Signed up for the Disney Plus. Probably gonna do the Peacock. Probably gonna do some peacocking. But I'm just like, I gotta look at the numbers because I'm just like, actually they have the ad free, the ad model, so maybe I can just avoid giving more credit card data to like yet another provider. But in terms of entertainment, watching Little Fires Everywhere right now. Not the most chill show, I will admit. Nope. I voted for baskets in my household. My woman was like, Little Fires Everywhere. She didn't say it like that. I'm being unfair. So we're watching Little Fires Everywhere, and it's intense. It kind of has an American Crime vibe to me if I were to compare it to another series that I really do love. But that has been enjoyable, and I'm eager to pursue this opportunity to watch The Five Bloods and Old Guard by myself, like in my little shed here, just for me. So I'm excited to do that. Haven't gotten the chance to do that yet, but I'm excited to take advantage of it. And halfway through the stream, I'm going to adjust my camera. And then other new stuff. I've been walking, regular walks, but I'm starting to add weight to my walks. And today I did a really serious thing. And Elizabeth would never have like supported this, but I waited till she was like out of the house on a multi-hour errand, and I took my regular morning walk, but with all my camping gear. And so I like loaded up because I bought all this stuff to prepare for earthquakes and the total collapse of society. And it's all laid out on like a bed. So it is not ready at all. It's just like, if an earthquake happens, I'm going to have to go to that room and be like, let me roll up the tent and put it in the bag. Let me grab these pellets and put it in the bag. Let's get the first aid kit and the little crank radio and, the air mattress and all this stuff. So I decided for today's walk, I'm going to pack all my go bag gear in the bag so I can go. And then I had on my little wraparound sunglasses. I had my athletic mask. I had my fisherman's hat. I looked crazy. And I had my hiking boots on. Yes, I had the hiking boots too. And I just went on my regular walk. So fools got treated to quite a vision. It brought me great joy to just walk through the neighborhood looking like Apocalyptic Tunde. And the FedEx dude saw me and he was like, so are you like, you on like a journey, bro? Like, what's up? What are you doing? And I was like, yeah, we're all on a journey, my brother. We're all on a journey. That's the point in life. You know what I'm saying? But no, I just live right around the corner and I hope you got something for him today because I'm expecting some packages. And he did. Also, I hiked so hard. I like busted my hiking boots. I was walking. I felt, oh, there's something on the bottom of this. And they just started flapping. They're very old. They are quality boots, but they are over a decade old. And they've experienced climatic change. So I'm in the market for some new hiking boots. I know I'm going to buy them from REI because I support the co-op model. And my mom was a member of REI, and I've been a member since like 2000. So that's I discovered that I need new hiking boots. I discovered that it is a joy to walk through my hood just ready for whatever. And I videoed my sister, Belinda, on FaceTime. And I wish I did a screenshot of her face when she saw me pop up. Because I mean, I had like the hydro pack with the water valve. I was clipped in. You know what I'm saying? I was clipped in. The glasses, the hat, the mask, the joint. And she was just like, she was an emoji face. She was like, what is going on with you? So it was worth it for that. But I'm ready. I stay ready. So that brought me great joy. Okay. We have so little time left together, probably about 8 minutes. I am looking for, let me just scroll through because I've been talking a lot and I've been like, yo, is this dude going to show up? And I'm not seeing his live request. So I think not, but I hold out hope. I hold out hope. Oh, okay. I just got a DM from Daniel. Sorry to disappoint. He can't tonight. He's out at dinner right now, y'all. Daniel's out at dinner. I hope he's at dinner with Ashley. This is so exciting. I've never been so invested in someone else's love life. I want massive success for these two pandemic, hopefully, possibly lovebirds. So at least we've got that potential. Sorry for waving my hand in your face so much. All right. Well, in that sense, thank you, Amy B. Wilson, for showing up. Appreciate your question, your contribution. I know you got to go. And I'm just going to see if I can hit as many of these topics in the grab bag as possible. Let's see here. Oh, this is easy. So we got a double question. Christy Weggs, what are you drinking? And do you prefer LA over New York? So this is bullet bourbon with a mild layer of Old Scout rye and then an equal balancing pour of an orange vermouth from, I think, Spain, but possibly Italy, something Mediterranean, your boy's fancy. And then a little orange curacao. And then I just did this. You gonna raise the pinky. And it's damn delicious. I don't know what that's called. It's a drink. And then LA over New York, do I prefer it? In a kind of literal technical sense, obviously I do because I live here now instead of there. So I made the strong choice to move. But it's just different. I have so much love for New York City. It's a crazy place full of crazy people, and I was one of them for 12 years. And part of me will retain that madness for the rest of my days. I will never just be like a Californian. It's too late for me. I was steeped in East Coastness, including direct communication of my will and intention for 4 decades. I don't just substitute that for wishy-washy West Coastness in a year. But yeah, I prefer this version of life now because it's allowed me to reconnect with nature. Like I can't do that hike I just talked about. And I'm homesteading in a different way. I'm communing differently. And obviously the pandemic's changed everything too. But I would prefer the pandemic here than where I previously lived, specifically because it was a timeshare-ish kind of a situation that we were living in, and we had it pretty good. So thank you for asking that. Let's see what else we got in here with the few minutes we got left. And I should check my own list. There were some things. Oh, you know what? There were some things I needed to share with y'all. Sorry for the grab bag. I'll put that on pause. I need to give some love to my boy, Michael Osterholm, who is just like, he was already my premier COVID information source. And he's just leveling up. His podcast is a must listen. Like I cannot stress this enough. whatever you're doing to get your COVID information, you're like, I'm on Instagram, I'm reading these tweets, I'm watching so-and-so on CNN. Stop and just listen to Osterholm. At least prioritize him as you mix in other multiple sources. This dude is just, he keeps it so 100, he keeps it so real. So he went in on his podcast this week. It's called the Osterholm Update on two things specifically. On these technical models, these statistical models that try to predict things, and on the over-publishing of scientific papers about this disease that do not pass muster. Do name names. I've never heard him name names before. It was so great. And so he called out this model that I've seen my girl Rachel Maddow cite so many times. And I'm like, I want the producers over at MSNBC to also just like level up, because you have so many people paying attention to you. Osterholm or bust, you know what I'm saying? And the principle is this. There's a lot we don't know. So admit when you don't know. And then when you assert something, explain why you know is true. And so he is, I think, creating a path for people of many party affiliations and different kind of political persuasions to still have trust in the system. Otherwise, if you look at this model that's come out of the University of Washington in this modeling division, they've been mad wrong. And they've given a range of possible deaths that is meaningless. 130,000 to 290,000. What is that? And so it gives a window for someone who's all QAnon about the whole thing, who's all Alex Jones in it, to be like, well, I can't trust this. It's fake news. And we just need to reduce the opportunity to challenge the science. Science is not absolute. And I think those of us who believe in science need to also be able to hold the idea that it is incomplete and imperfect and ever-changing. And it's not like the scientists have had this right the whole time. Do you remember when the CDC told us not to wear masks? So we've got to allow room to grow and improve and explain how we know what we know and when we don't know. And that's why I trust this Michael Osterholm dude so much, because he's transparent about it. And so he calls out the fact that just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you're an epidemiologist. Just because you work in the ER doesn't mean you understand the transmission rates of disease. Listen to Michael Osterholm. Like, if that's my public service ask for y'all. And the whole idea, and I've got a minute left, modeling. I'm not paying attention to 538.com this season. Their little predictive model of the odds of this and that happening, burn that to the ground. It doesn't matter. Vote. Get your friends and family to vote. Let's do this. That prediction is meaningless. The only thing that counts, the only model that's real is what we do. So let the future be determined by that, not by our expectations of what we expect of the future, because those expectations will end up creating a different future. On election day, the New York Times told us there was an 86% chance that Hillary Clinton's going to be the next president, and that will live in infamy as a disservice to the public. So screw these models on the COVID, mask up, socially distance, do your shit outside, and avoid these models on the election. The best predictive model is you do your job, and you get your friends and families and neighbors to do their job, so we make sure this monstrous, mayhemic, murderous madman loses his job. That's me, episode 36, live on Lockdown, Baratunde. I am out.